What's up, fight fans? My name's Flyin Brian J. This video is brought to you by MMAmania.com. And before I get into my breakdown for UFC 216 between Kevin Lee and Tony Ferguson for the interim lightweight championship, I want you guys to follow a link in the description box or possibly in the comment section down below to a poll on my Twitter account where I ask if you think that this fight deserves to be the main event above Demetrious Johnson going for his 11th consecutive title defense against Ray, the Taz Mexican Devil Borg. So now, my breakdown for this fight is going to start with talking about a really fun app called Verdict MMA. Look for it on your app store. You can make predictions for all the main card fights, method, round, and also score the fights as they happen and check your friends on Twitter or on the app's scores. And then you can see the global scorecard as well. It's a really fun app. On Verdict, only 21% of the people are picking Kevin Lee to win, which is in contrast to the Vegas odds. Tony Ferguson is minus 210 right now as of the recording of this video, which would translate into about Vegas thinking Tony would win 68% of the time. So only 32% for Kevin Lee, which is 32 on Vegas odds, 21% of the people on Verdict are picking Kevin Lee to win. So what I would suggest is perhaps pick Kevin Lee if you just want to get a leg up on your friends or the competition so you can get one of those gold belts on the Verdict app. If you haven't already downloaded it, check it out. Tell me what you think about it. It's really, really fun. So the breakdown, I want to start talking about what I learned from each guy's respective last outings. Kevin Lee, I learned nothing against Michael Chiesa because going into that fight, I broke that fight down, at least for his part, with he does everything naked. And I don't mean that he's running around without his pants on. I mean that he doesn't set anything up. He will go for takedowns from super far away without setting them up with kicks or feints or anything first. He'll just go straight in for them, which sometimes works because he's incredibly strong with his grappling. So maybe that's not that big a deal. But in the striking department, he doesn't set up his kicks. Against Francisco Massaranduba Trinaldo, he threw the same head kick like 5 times in a row. The only reason it worked for him there, where he rocked Massaranduba and then was able to submit him, is Massaranduba was disrespecting him. He didn't block that kick that Kevin Lee was just throwing over and over and over again. Against Michael Chiesa, we didn't have to see him really do anything. Chiesa initiated the grappling, and Kevin Lee is just so strong there. I didn't anticipate that, but he took over the grappling, got the back of Michael Chiesa, and whether you think the stoppage there was controversial or not, he dominated Michael Chiesa on the ground for like 3 minutes. He had a very, very tight body lock triangle on him that I don't think Chiesa was going to get out of, but nonetheless, I learned nothing from Kevin Lee's last outing. In contrast, Tony Ferguson's last outing, we learned that he gets better and better as the fights go on. He has cardio for days, and he is really, really good even in the championship or the later rounds. He hadn't gone to a 5th round in UFC competition. We did know he had good cardio before. He does train at high altitude at Big Bear, but he showed that off in his last outing against Rafael Dos Anjos. So for this matchup, I think I'm going to pick the guy who is more dynamic and who is more fluid with switching between their techniques. I'm talking about Tony Ferguson. He is a guy that is really good at switching stances. He will mask takedowns. He goes for Imanari rolls. If his opponent tries to take him down, he'll go for crazy rolls. He'll throw spinning back fist. He'll throw stepping in elbows, and he does everything with a herky-jerky type of timing. He's kind of like if Keith Jardine were to take a muscle relaxer or maybe smoke some ganja, just relax out there, do some yoga. That's Tony Ferguson, but then also with an abundance of techniques in his arsenal. Just everything that you can think of. This guy can do it. And he does it fluidly while looking kind of unorthodox and awkward. It's absolutely bonkers. Kevin Lee, I don't think he's going to be able to contend with the dynamism of Tony Ferguson. If Kevin Lee were to go for one of those takedowns from too far away, get a little crazy, get a little reckless with his takedown attempts, I think Tony Ferguson is going to lock in a Darce choke. And I already mentioned that Tony Ferguson is good at switching his stances. He can fight out of either orthodox or southpaw, and he's very good at doing either one. And he can switch back and forth because he's got kind of a capoeira kind of stance switch type of thing about him. Obviously, he's not doing those fancy kicks kind of like Conor McGregor would do, but he has the ability to switch very fluidly. And if he's smart, like I think he is, he's got high level of fight IQ, he's going to come out and fight in a southpaw stance. Kevin Lee has struggled a bit when people throw left straights at him. Just look at his fight against Michael Chiesa. Michael came out in the southpaw stance. He threw a left straight early on that might have hurt Kevin Lee just a little bit before Michael went in to instigate some grappling exchanges. So I think if Tony fights out of that southpaw stance, Kevin could struggle with a left straight coming from Tony Ferguson. And even though Tony is not known for his one-punch knockout power, it could jar Kevin enough because Kevin has been hurt multiple times in fights. He got hurt against Massaranduba. I mentioned he might have got stiff-kneed for a second against Michael Chiesa. He was knocked out by Leandro Santos or TKO'd, but you get my pick. You get the point here. I think Tony is going to hit him with the left straight perhaps, and in the end, I think Tony's going to get some type of choke submission. If he hurts Kevin with that left straight, drops him, wobbles him, takes his back, I don't know. I just think that Tony is going to win this fight. He has 81% takedown defense. So if Kevin isn't just on point with masking how he's going to set up those takedowns, I think it's going to spell disaster for Kevin Lee. But last thing I want to say is that I am not good at predicting Kevin Lee fights. I counted him out against Massaranduba. It was looking good for me early because Massaranduba hurt him. I also picked against him against Michael Chiesa. So I'm not good at picking Kevin Lee's fights, but this time I'm feeling pretty good about it. I've got Tony Ferguson either syncing up that Darce choke late in round number 2 or getting a rear naked choke midway through round number 3. Tell me who you're picking in the comment section down below. Once again, please follow that link down there to the poll where I want you to tell me, do you think this fight really deserves to be the main event? And I'll see you guys on my next video. Namaste.